Oh, really?
Yeah. The logos are too much.
You start off with gunshots. I think that's the weirdest thing.
Oh, you mentioned it.
Revelations live. We're just like, oh my god.
That is weird.
All right, so now
let's analyze that.
True.
Why are there gunshots? Oh my god! It foreshadows the end.
It's true, and don't they also have sirens? Or did I hear a car engine revving too? Like there was a lot of noises in that first couple seconds.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't hear shit.
Well, I mean, I was willing to have it turned up a little bit. All right, here we go, man. Fucking, 96 for a 96 audience.
I think I only remember the subsequent rewatches and never really the original, because I feel like it's buried under like urban legend, like who's the killer, and then that's the big reveal. It's just like Scream. Did Scream originally do that? Like a whodunit and like unmasking. They can't be the first ones who've done that.
Well, they were definitely before urban legend.
Well, yeah.
No, I mean that's what made this thing fucking pop for me when I first watched it. And
no
unlike
pun
you,
intended.
unlike you, oh my yes. Unlike you, I do remember the first time watching this. Yeah, and I remember because mom was like, "Hey, don't fucking watch those movies." So I go next door, and you guys are watching this movie. I'm like, oh, "Yeah, but mom said," you guys are like, "Whatever, be cool." It's like,
cool,
all right. But actually, I didn't watch any of this beginning part. I came in right when Sydney was getting called and shit. So I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Does it ever really pay off, that fucking popcorn? Like, oh, it's the illusion of time, so that popcorn originally, it just keeps blowing up, but like it starts burning and shit. Like, does that really pay off, or?
I think it does.
Maybe it's like the crutch of the opening, maybe.
No, I mean, it serves its purpose well.
It's like these filmmakers are obsessed with the popcorn. They keep going back, but it's just like.
Well, at the end though, it's on fire, and that's what the parents come to, and that's the weird thing about this movie. It's like,
oh yeah, so like the payoff is that it tips them off that something's horribly wrong. It's like it's just fucking burning on the oven.
And anytime you could have fire in your movie, especially in the beginning, I mean, like there was a lot of elements in this that just made it really real,
There you go. I subconsciously remember an insert shot of the popcorn. Oh, we talked through the opening fucking.
Oh yeah.
The back and forth.
See, this would not happen to me. Not because I'm aware of movies and how to survive them and shit, but because I never answer my phone when people call.
Remember that horror, How to Survive Horror Movies? That book we had. I still have that book.
No, you gotta check it out again.
Like
So at this point,
totally prepared for graboids.
Do you remember at this moment? Do you remember being like, "Oh, that's Drew Barrymore from E.T.," or she was just some chick?
She was just some chick.
Yeah. A hot one.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, who Freddy's Freddy, Jason's Jason, but when did they start, like, the killers start having fucking, maybe, I don't know. I feel like, not Valentine's Day, My Bloody Valentine. I feel like that might have been one of the first, like, oh, he's...
What? Started getting names? Like Ghostface being called Ghostface, or what?
Like, the killer being unmasked and having an identity and was in the movie,
Oh, you mean just overall? Like, I don't know. I haven't watched all those movies. Didn't Randy say, like, Prom Night Revisited? Like, there was a suspect or whatever?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm glad we're doing this.
All right, so this...
we went through that.
Classic, big screen TV.
I feel like this disappeared instantly.
Yeah?
Yeah. The Snickle.
Snicklefritz.
Like it got me there, but then it was just like,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
I think it is. It's real.
It's real.
This is behind the scenes podcast.
Yeah.
We were talking about it earlier.
Perfect. Please cut it out.
I'll cut it out. I feel like this. Yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna turn it up. But.
All right, so.
The scene's already deep in it. We're just talking about weird shit.
Well, yeah, it moves at a crazy pace. Like, it's almost impossible to talk during this fucking opening scene. Like, it's still being heralded as, like, one of the great horror openings. And it is. Like, I think it's because the killer starts off flirting. And then, you know, like, some clever stuff is thrown out, talking about movies and shit. Like, he just randomly called. But no, it's a lot more sinister than that. And it's still... it's so well written, you know. It's amazing that Kevin Williamson wrote it in fucking a weekend, you know.
Oh my god. my main point is, I don't think we've ever appreciated, especially in this movie, the idea of the killer has an identity and it's a mystery that needs to be worked out as an audience member, you know. Like, I feel like, you know, Scream 2. You're like, holy fuck, anybody could be the killer. But on this one, we don't. Yeah, this first movie, we never really appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, the overall. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a point we need to bring up later. It's not appropriate for the first scene.
Yeah, we're jumping, we're leaping. It's just because, you know, we've been wanting to talk about Scream forever, and it seems like we always have something to say. But now that it's right before us.
I'd rather talk about Star Wars. What the fuck is Star Wars? I set you up for that, and you did not. Did not fucking take it.
All right, so this is where she loses it. Where she's like, she's banging me by his papa. Oh wait, no, damn it. This is, of course, clever trivia thing. Everyone gets it wrong. You just watched Friday the 13th, the first one and the second one, right? Another question could have been like, when does Jason put on his mask? And then you could fire back like, what? Which mask? Sick. Sick. Are you talking about the hockey mask or the bag that it came in? Oh my gosh.
That'd
Okay,
so his bag head would have the Amazon logo and that smiley face.
Oh my god, that's modern. I love it. All right, so we grew up where the guts fell out. And to me, that was mind-blowing at the time. Like, I've never once seen... Like, you know, you see people's throat getting slashed in horror movies. It's cliche. Or not cliche, whatever. But you never see a gutting.
That's interesting, yeah.
You know? You never see a gutting. The closest thing we had was H2O with the gut juice, you know?
The gut juice. Well, when did fucking...
That was way later.
Dead Presidents come out where that guy's trying to eat his own guts.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Maybe it was so shocking that we piled that onto it. Let's forget about it.
Just a pet. But the last thing he notices is his tongue and he bites that.
So it's a visual. Good luck explaining that one.
All right. At first I was saying, like, oh, it's moving at a rapid pace. But I'm like, come on.
How to survive edged weapons? She just grabbed their fucking letter opener.
Yeah.
It's effective.
Oh, shit. Now we see the smoke.
Not that effective.
Things are getting more chaotic now, you know. Really, the smoke alarm should be going off, but I'm glad that they didn't go with that, because whether in movies or in real life, I hate smoke alarms, so that's fine.
It's okay.
But look at how fucking thick that smoke is. They really should be going off.
Yeah, but they're in the country, man. It's not regulated.
Yeah, and this is 96.
Ordinance.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
How 90s is this movie?
It's so weird, though. I feel like I'm stuck in that same decade. Never really grew up.
I guess the wireless phone is very 90s.
Yeah.
It's edgy. It's the now. I feel like... What? Didn't you just previously like, no, we're not going to talk about that. It just comes out of nowhere. Give me a weird vibration. What? Alright. Her parents arrived fucking early. Do you ever edit? You ever edit movies where you're like, you forgive them for like a plot hole or some oversight? Where you're like, oh, it's just. You just fix it for them. You know what I mean? Like this could have happened, and that the parents weren't pulling in, you know. But you could edit like maybe 2 hours later. They show up. The house is on fire because of the popcorn.
Oh shit! Wow.
I just found an own plot hole in what I was talking about. Yeah. Ah, man. I feel like the popcorn thing sticks out where I'm like, why is that in there?
What do you mean? It's part of the movie experience.
I know. I mean, I get it in terms of like writing screenplays, but you know, the illusion of time. But still, I'm like, I think that always bothered me. I'm like, why are we just focused on the popcorn?
Oh man,
some weird cynical.
Yeah, this is
cynical look.
This would be on your video of 100 things Scream got wrong or whatever. Everything wrong with Scream.
It's like 99 things right there.
So takes.
She's like, hey, I know you, but I'm still dying. Oh, that's weird. Like she's putting it together. She's like, what?
She's like, you're. I was gonna be like, there's two of you. Like they somehow. I know, but there's no possible way she can. Like she figures everything out. She's like, oh my god.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. Like, she's just like, she's like, oh, it's a kid from class. I'm like, is this the beginning? But
Stu and her dated. Remember that?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So it could be Billy.
Yeah, she's like, what are you? Huh?
Oh, that is kind of fucked up. If it was Billy. It's got to be, right? Isn't he like the front man?
Because,
point man,
because
sorry.
remember, no, but I thought they were both operating there, right?
Now that I think about it, Billy's way fucking exposed to this whole movie. Like, he's got to be like the point man, maybe even like the lesser of the two, because
Stu's
we're talking about spoilers.
Back in the cut. Yeah.
These are the killers. But, yeah, like he's the mastermind in the background. And Billy's just kind of the point man. It's kind of fucked up. Think about it.
Because right now, in the logistics of the two killers, what's their name? Tatum O'Neill, something like that. She was like, Stu was with me last night, and he's like, yeah, it was.
Dewey O'Neill?
Is that what it is?
Is it Dewey?
D-O. All right, so. Look at that lovely evening wear.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, isn't that like?
All right, so
this
is
very rural. I mean, what do people in cities wear?
This is very rural. The next Johnny Depp, everybody.
What?
No, remember people like everyone was like, "Oh my god, this guy in Scream, he's the next Johnny Depp." But you know what though? Spoilers. I think like Skeet's awesome in this movie. He really is. But I think sometimes you can't play the bad guy because some fucking people won't see you as like a leading man in a movie because they think of you as that certain role. And remember, Scream was huge, and on top of his performance, everyone was like, "Oh my god, Skeet's gonna get all these offers and shit." But I think it kind of hurt him playing a bad guy and playing him so well. You know, I think it did. I think it hurt him.
We just watched Scream 3.
We did.
Remember that? Anyway, her dad. We just talked to her dad. Yeah. And we were talking about, like, if we were to remake the Screams.
Bring the dad
or
back.
At least the sequels. Like, he'd be in on it. Like...
I never truly signed off on that idea, but...
I mean, what would you have to change in this movie in order for your... sequel that you have in mind?
I honestly don't think the dad was on it. I think he was always meant to take the fall and shit, so I wouldn't change that. I mean, he would just be killed. No, the idea was that he kills everybody and then he shoots himself in the head. Perfect ending.
What if you never did, what if this is its own movie and then in the beginning you're like in an alternate universe?
Yeah. what would it like the beginning of Inglourious Basterds were like once upon a time in Nazi occupied France. You know, like you would have to do that. Like, you know, just say right away that this is a reimagining, but you know, better words for it. Something more the modern parlance that we think of. But so here we are establishing the themes, the classic themes of, you know, like, oh, give it up, would you?
It's almost primal. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's like
I didn't realize this is bad. Right now we're subtly getting played "Don't Fear the Reaper," but just a slow acoustic version of it. I just realized.
Narrate. I gotta go down the hall and go to the bathroom.
Yeah, down the. Goodbye. All right, so. Move this shit a little bit. There we go. So hard to watch, just in general, teenage movies, because I'm so, like, at first I was like, yeah, man, I'm a teenager and shit. And the further away you get from it, the more, not only, you could probably still relate, but you don't want to. You're like, yeah, I moved on. I now, you know, the girls that are interested in me already have, you know, kids. They're single moms at best. And, you know, clearly this was not the case. He's dealing with a V card in a way. Oh, but look at what she does. The classic tease. And we don't even get a shot of it. It's not gratuitous. It's really kind of like saying, yeah, well, the old movies, like fucking Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, they showed, I believe they showed nudity, like, right away. I know they did in Jason Goes to Hell. Like, some chick just gets home from working out and she just starts getting naked in the bathroom. This is not the case. They're just showing, you know, it's tasteful.
Wow, you brought the movie's beginning back to life for me. I was like, holy shit, I remember that. Just nudity out of nowhere. I love fucking Friday the 13th, the first one.
Yeah? I don't think I've seen it.
Oh. Just like, what's it called?
There's Linda Blair back there.
What?
Just thankful for the work.
Well, yeah.
And this was great. I love the fact that her neon green dress, like, it made me think of April O'Neil. Like, it's just an over the top character. In fact, I liked everything about the costume in this movie. I always thought the colors were great, like bright, and everything popped. That changes. They lose that in Scream 2. Everyone's dressed in, like,
I was just going to say, like, Gail Weathers, just you talking about that, like, her character's, like, kind of over the top. I'm like, holy shit, that's, like, I kind of forgot about that, and that's totally in Scream 3, which we just watched.
Yeah, and once again, they got her dressing in loud, over-the-top suits. Remember, she shows up in that all-yellow suit with, like, the red shirt underneath.
I don't.
but, okay, well, subtly, though, they started dressing her up over the top again, because that's what she was in Scream 1. In Scream 2, everyone's dressed in these muted brown colors, red colors, black colors. You know, it's so weird. I always thought that was a weird change to the franchise.
Did you ever finish that thought? You said Scream 3 is probably ranked lowest.
Yeah.
Where's Scream 4?
It's ranked lastly. It goes from Scream to Scream 2, Scream 4, and then Scream 3.
Really?
Yeah.
I've only seen the Scream 4 once, maybe twice.
It suffers from what the other Screams suffer, where they're just like copying scenes, you know, from the first one. Like the first one, it's like, you know, you created this perfect structure with all these classic scenes. Let's just keep on doing that. What they should have done is branch out and perhaps have Billy and Stu survive and plan a sequel.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I'm so worried about setup. Like, at this point, I don't care. Because we're talking about Billy and Stu go to production hell, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, well, we got to set up what we were talking about earlier to talk about this, but I don't think it matters.
No, just like the idea in general. Just because we're looking back at this years from now, knowing that the sequels don't quite live up to the first one. There are some great shit in the sequels, but it's just not the same. And for me, I always felt like you kind of buy in that this was Billy and Stu's idea in this first movie. You know, like you actually identify with the killers more in this one than any other sequels. You don't.
Whoa, yeah.
You don't get to know Mickey. He's only in a couple scenes. You don't fucking know Debbie Salt. You know.
Debbie Salt.
Roman Bridger. He's got like what 2 scenes. You know. Before she dumped him for Steve. Oh my god.
Oh, like what are you like 34? You're 34 now.
Yeah.
Does it bother you that like as people in their late 20s, early 30s playing fucking teenagers? But my whoa moment was like, holy shit, we could redo this with like Spider-Man Homecoming. It's young, make them young, be kind of like Battle Royale, the Japanese movie.
Like really cast them young and shit.
That'd be controversial in these times. You're talking about your one creative kill is a machine gun.
Assault rifle, to be specific. Yeah. I mean, well, the thing is, though, this is a great cast, you know? Like, they have exciting cast in all the franchise for the most part. I felt like in Scream 3 it dipped a little bit, because I was like, I don't know who I can't even think of his name now. Like, the guy who played Dewey's as the actor or whatever. Like, I didn't know who the fuck he was. And usually in all these movies, like the who's who, you know, they're always cast in these movies. That's why Hayden Panettiere's in Scream 4, you know.
Panties? Hayden Panties?
Yeah, Hayden.
What if
She's just hating panties right now.
What if he has a whole nose? His whole head is a nose on top of Dolph Lundgren's body.
Should we be writing stuff? Yeah. Honestly, I think when I first watched this movie, scary movies were not allowed, but we watched this Next Door. I think I came in around this time, something like that.
I mean, I remember a tape with Natural Born Killers on it, and the beginning movie I think was Troll. Those are like weird slasher movies. I mean, I don't think
Troll.
I guess you know, if we're gonna say slasher, I guess that's kind of like it's so cheap. You know what I mean? Anybody can make a slasher. Just have like a fake knife. It's so blunt. Maybe that's kind of why we weren't allowed to watch it. Maybe.
Well, I mean, Mom never allowed any, like, almost.
Maybe she got that genre.
Movies. Yeah, like no stuff with demons. Exorcist and Shining weren't allowed in the house. But I do understand, like when I watched Jason Lives, it was dumb, and that's the other.
Yeah,
like it was enjoyable, but I think what Mom always disliked was just really dumb stupidity for the longest part, because I remember I would make a joke.
Whoa.
And she was like,
this is like the beginning of, doesn't this scene go right into night and she's attacked? This is a long fucking scene.
Yeah, we stay with her for till sundown. Oh my god, we got the...
What's the last movie you saw where it's a mystery of who the killer is, or the villain?
Probably Scream 4.
Really? So that was like 2011?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
The mystery is really good on this. I mean, of course, they get to be the first ones to have 2 killers, which I believe is a first for almost anything. Any one of these.
2 killers in one movie?
Yeah. And that in itself was a nice twist. And when I think of like making a sequel where Billy and Stu survive, part of that is in your mind where like, you got to come up with like 6 twists, you know, like, or 6 clever things in your script, because Scream had 6 clever things, you know. But the way this is put together, it's fine. It's homages to all that has come before. This is basically a Tarantino film if he made a scary movie. You know what I mean? Like lots of homages, lots of the clever.
Wow, I never really put that together. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of the clever fans are just like, oh my god, thank you. You know, like a lot of it's basically Endgame. I heard that's just a bunch of fan service. You know?
Would you say this is like Evil Dead? Like it's kind of mashing Tarantino and Evil Dead. Would you say that?
Like the first one, Evil Dead, like specifically,
Or
just in general,
Evil Dead too. I guess like the style, like hyper realism.
This one, well, there's a lot of homages, but they're all played straight, and that's the other thing that I really liked about this. I mentioned this before. This was controversial because it's imitatable. Kids could call kids and kill each other. You know.
Oh, that sounds fun. Just having like this like tag ritual. You know what I mean? Instead of tag, it's just like a fake knife. That'd be fucking fun. But you have to call. Like, you could be hiding in the house. You just came there earlier after school. You're just in the house waiting for somebody to say wonder.
Whoa, wait.
That was a good Ben Stiller. Whoa, wait.
All right, so this I like this, where we're putting the seed of a suspicion of Randy because already she's like, Randy, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I like that.
Yeah, that might be where it kicked in for the audience because we never saw this in theaters.
It's true.
I have no idea. I don't remember watching this for the first time. All right, so here's like first thought that comes to mind. What would your Scream 5 be?
Assuming
what would your abilities be? Would you be able to bring back the original cast? You know, would you even do that? I assume Blumhouse. I'm pretty sure it's Blumhouse is doing Scream 5.
Oh, okay. So like, I couldn't do my Billion Stew go to production hell idea for Scream 5.
How would that work?
What do you mean? How would
Scream 4? Scream 4 exists
digitally. All right. Well, then in that case, I can't do my stew and whatever because that.
So, but I think I was going to mention this earlier too. Was that what if they're just doing a remake? Like they might even be doing that. I don't know much about it.
God. Well, okay. Well, assuming I can't go back and retcon shit, all the original cast is still alive. You know.
In real life.
Yes.
Obviously, yes.
Really, like, Scream 4 was promising to be a rejuvenation of the series. Like, out with the old, you know, a couple of them will die, and all the new ones will go on and create a new series. But the opposite happened at the end. All the old ones survived, and all the new ones died. It was like, it was like a marketing ploy, you know?
That was the twist, right?
Yeah, that was the twist.
Like, she was supposed to take on the mantle of Sydney, but she's the killer.
But, well, originally the idea was that she really was going to survive, you know, and soak up all the adulations that that Sydney would get, you know.
Oh yeah, isn't that the?
Was the alternate?
No, isn't that the point of that fucking scene, like in the hospital? She was going to replace her, but secretly be the killer. Yeah. So that's kind of a genesis of a Billion Stew, isn't it?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know, like how long you could play with these characters. We'd have to play in real life. This time, Gail and Dewey are divorced, not speaking.
Wow, I'm looking for Scream 5s. Scream 5 shit on my phone, but I'm talking through the fucking attack.
They recreated that scene in Scream 3. I wish I could just do a Mr. Plinkett voice. I recreated the scene for Scream 3.
You ever see him like do that? I think that voice.
Oh.
Yeah, you did it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's the scene where it's probably laughable to kids of this generation where his cell phone falls out and he's like, you were the only one that could have, you know? Like, people don't get it now. At that time, not everyone had a cell phone, right? But I remember at this time I was like, it was him all along. But I came into this movie very late, so I assumed this was towards the end. I was like, oh my god, it was him.
That left an impression on you. Oh man. Okay, so I mean, for Billy and Stu go to production hell. We talk a lot about that final scene where they just lay out their plans for a sequel. What other scenes may have inspired you to fucking do that? I mean, there was the video store scene, right? Where they're talking to Randy.
Yeah.
There's that scene. Is anything else where like, oh, this would work? Billy and Stu are the fucking protagonists.
Well, I mean, the whole ending when it's revealed, like because what really helps, is Matthew Lillard's performance, and well, both their performances. But you just believe that they are these friends, like they weren't hanging with each other constantly throughout the movie, but we got to know both those characters, and they were interesting. Like they should have, in a righteous world, they would have survived and created the sequel. Because honestly, when he said that, I was like, no, I like these characters. Fucking Matthew Lillard is hilarious in the end. When he's like bleeding to death, he gets hit by the phone and shit like that, Like, when he's trying to save some dignity and he crosses his arms when he answers like, there's so many great touches. And the same thing with Billy. Like, that's what made me want to do it. Because, what's going on lately is you kind of, it's kind of Tarantino-esque there, where you take in an older actor and give him another shot. Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich are still alive, and they're very capable actors. It would be great to see them have a sequel where they're like Logan, they're like old and shit, broken down.
Poppy Plaza one last time. So I mean, like, are there your favorite character moments where you don't know that they're the killers, right? What are some good, just really good parts with? It's them, but they're not in full killer mode.
Oh, with Billy and Stu?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going back to that video store scene. That was good. Billy, he's getting the finger pointed at him so much throughout this movie, and
I feel like they're only together at that fountain, right? So far in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't spend too much time together.
What about so with that individually, what's your favorite Billy by himself moment and Stu by himself moment?
Well, it's not. I mean, okay. Well, I just go back to the ending when it is revealed, when you see their interaction and stuff. Like you buy into the fact that they both planned this out. In terms of like their individual moment, I mean, Lillard is constantly like he has so much energy in all his takes and stuff, like his relationship with Tatum and stuff like that. Like
holy fuck, yeah.
That's all.
You know what's really fucking awesome? His speech, Stu's speech, where he's laying out. Well, no, that's Randy, but I guess Stu hosting his party at the end. That's probably where it's like, yeah, this guy's fucking awesome. You don't know that he's a killer at that point. So that's probably my favorite Stu moment.
Well, and of course he plays into and punctuates that entire speech by Randy about like obeying the rules. That's when he gets up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's willing to. He recognizes Randy. He's not dismissing him at all, but he is making a joke. And that's the last time you see Stu before he's revealed as the killer. It's him like he's like, I'll be right back. That is brilliant. Like it's so good. Like I wanted to keep seeing Stu, and then he just disappeared. But when he shows up, he's the fucking killer. It's crazy.
Like maybe his vulnerability is probably that's kind of what you remember. You know what I mean?
For Billy?
Yeah.
I mean, he like it really is like it's like, oh, it's Billy, but then part of you're like, no, it's not.
Yeah, what if you believe him?
Yeah. And it's that, and when you look back to all those scenes where he really was putting on a performance as a sympathetic character, it's it's so effective.
So would you have to carry that over to Billy and Stu? GTOP. Go to production house. Would you have to like cynically like try and top Billy as the host, or no, Stu as the host of a party, or Billy's like fucking vulnerability? Like, would you have to copy that and at least hint at it in the fucking your movie?
Well,
our movie? I don't know what we're doing. Are we writing this?
Well, I mean, when the idea was that they were trying to actually make a movie and film the killings on camera and eventually release that movie release it to the market.
That's fucked up. Like, it's secretly a fucking snuff film.
Yeah, but it's a glorified snuff film.
Oh.
Yeah.
But secretly they sell it to the fucking masses.
Yeah,
That's fucked up. I did not get that ever.
God damn it. Well, I think it's because we never got too far. Like, we would talk about it, but whatever. Anyways, the Stu hosting that party,
yeah,
that is transferable to Goes to Hell, because I wanted Stu to be the director. He's a host of sorts. He has to interact with everyone. Billy,
yeah,
wants to be an actor in that same movie. So then he is doing acting again. He not only is he acting in the film, but he's also acting like he's not part of this fucking, like he's the one that has to talk to the other actors and say like, no man, I think we're safe, or what, you know what I mean? Like he has to play that role again. Or maybe a different role, maybe it's not as obvious that it's him, but still, like the fact that Billy can act and fool people, that has to be used in the second one, And Stu's inability to really care, he's able to just be like wacky in front of people, even though he knows he's going to kill him,
How do you solve the that they survive problem? I mean, like, that's the end of this movie. How would you rewrite it? Like you're invested in all these characters and they don't even win at the end.
Yeah, but because I already said this. Stab movie comes out and it's the same thing, except it ends with the dad was the killer. So I would show, damn it. I feel like I was trying to explain all this the other day.
Huh.
You would see in Scream 2, there's the theater and they show Stab 1. They show the beginning of Stab 1.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, it's that they show the ending, and on screen it shows like, oh, the dad was the killer, and Billy and Sue, they survive, And so that's just telling the audience this is an alternate universe of sorts.
Oh. Yeah. So you're shamelessly having the Scream 2 opening still happening at the movies?
They don't even have to kill there again, but it could happen. It could be a Back to the Future 2 sort of thing where you show it from a different angle, but it altered, Like Mickey's like stalking Jada Pinkett Smith again, but he actually waited till the end of the movie to kill her or something like that, Or he kills her.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
He kills her, sits back, and watches the rest of the movie.
Puts his hands behind his head.
Because that was one of the coolest parts of Scream 2 is that scene where he sits down, and for a while they're just watching the movie. I was like, this is fucked up. He's, the killer is watching that happen in a theater. To me, I was like, the killer is a movie fan, so he should have stayed there and watched the whole thing.
So would the Jada Pinkett Smith kill be an alternate kill?
It could.
In terms of creative kills, what would you change?
I always thought it wasn't.
Like her boyfriend getting stabbed in the ear in the bathroom. What would you do, man? What would you do?
I don't know. I do remember when I watched Scream 2, I was like, I didn't mind the boyfriend dying that way, although it was very just like, what are the odds that he goes into the bathroom? He should have got tapped on the...
Just cut to the ghost face on the other side. It's just like... Oh, there we go.
He's like, what are you pounding? He's like, trying to find a stud.
He needed one of those glory holes. You could see where he's aiming at.
Yeah, but like having... No, anyways, yeah. That's how I would solve just to let the audience know that this is an alternate world here.
That's how you set that up.
I think it would help.
Oh my god, Bill and Stu Go to Production Hell just became Scream 5.
And now it's, probably going to be Scream 6 if anything, since the Scream 5's coming out.
Yeah, I didn't get much on the internet about Scream 5.
Cotton Weary. One of the greatest fake movie names of all time.
Cotton Weary.
So, is he worried but comfortable? Like, yes, basically.
Here's some headlines. Blumhouse. I was right.
Okay.
That's as far as they got. Who knows what juicy things they're talking about behind closed doors. Courtney Cox.
Yeah, Arquette. Oh, wait.
Arquette.
That's crazy.
Oh my god. I don't remember this scene at all. It's like fucking close-ups.
You know, I remember a lot of this movie just because there's no superfluous scene. Every scene kind of helps reinforce character, helps get the story along. Like the fact to establish that, again, that she isn't sure that Cotton Weary. You know, like, we haven't even seen Cotton Weary. We've seen, he only has one shot, Liev Schreiber. He's on TV, remember? I think we did, yeah. But so minute, so minuscule. But he's in the sequel, and he has I love Cotton Weary in Scream 2. It's awesome. Like, I love that whole concept that he's innocent, but he's kind of a scumbag, and he wants to, he wants that Diane Sawyer interview. It's great. I love that part of it.
There's a Stu scene. No Billy. Yeah, his relationship with Tatum, obviously.
This was fucked up too. When the fact that the mass killer himself just ran by, like they couldn't really do that too much with Halloween. Like, you know, just there's a bunch of what's his name, Captain Kirk masks. You know, like they couldn't do that with that. I don't know if they did that with Friday the 13th though.
This whole scene is parodied in Scream 2.
Oh yeah,
It's
Luke
so
Wilson.
Meta. It's so meta. The way I see it, someone's out to make a sequel. Cash in on all the movie murder hoopla. Yeah, I mean, the sequel, like, you know that someone's secretly the fucking...
Subtle hints of the mother-daughter relationship. Yeah. Holy shit. Wes Craven. That was pretty sweet.
Those weird fucking... You see those figures back there? Those human figures in there? Everyone's connected. Oh, so what would your Scream 5 be? You could do anything at this point. I mean, they don't even announce the cast. Like, what if they do a reboot? Like, what the fuck would that even be, you know?
I mean, I don't think they should. Honestly, I think the best idea is my idea. Because it's been being done. Like, again, I go to classic Halloween. This movie pays so much homage to the first Halloween, right? And then Halloween H2O was great. Like that, like I've looked up Halloween lists too, like best to worst or whatever. And then the new Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis reprising her role for the 4th, 5th time, whatever it was. They ignore Halloween 2 and stuff like that. So why not ignore the ending of Scream 1, you know, and go on from there?
So you're not going to recap it at all?
Only with the video footage in the theater.
Right.
Yeah. And then, well, there was the other scene where, like, you would have to digitally de-age Matthew Lillard and Skeet when they're lying in blood trying to they're kind of planning a sequel, and they're waiting for the cops to show up. Everyone's dead around them, but they're just kind of saying like, "What about a sequel?" They're like, "It's too early. Let's get through this first." But then finally Stu's like, "No, man, what do you think? Let's, what's fresh?" He's like, "What is fresh? I'm dying right now." Like, but then he comes up with the idea. He wants to remember it, and I don't know. I think it's great. But in reality, it's probably just gonna like, let's bring back Sydney, let's bring back Dewey, Gal, the Holy Trinity, man.
The Holy Trinity. I think her red shirt really works. I never really know she's wearing a red shirt.
No, everything's so bright and colorful. Like, it's such a contrast because, it's supposed to be like the cynicism. The cynicism seeping in.
Wow.
It's like everyone's supposed to be brightly colored, but they're talking about horrible shit. Like, she's just casually saying like, "Her mother about the slide, dirty slide,"
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because this chick,
isn't it? Yeah.
she, like, why wasn't she brought up for the sequel? She had a great line. She sold this little like, what are the options? Like, maybe even she's the killer. I love that. I love that she's even throwing Sydney at like, what if it's her?
Yeah, I was just thinking how that's kind of seeded, and then I guess comes to fruition with Scream 4, right?
Yeah, for sure. Roots run deep. Still waters run deep.
Still, did you just say still waters?
Still waters run
I need a bathroom.
Oh shit. Alright. So, it's been a while since we've seen a scare. And this was, I always thought this was a brilliant scene. You see the boots first, and then you see the costume coming over it. You get the sense that it really drives home the fact that it really could be this unknown person that we have to guess. Boots first, followed by the costume, is fucking, like, it's such a great shot.
How long till the Fonz gets killed off? Is that soon?
That's pretty soon, yeah.
I thought that was the beginning of the scene, and then it was literally just gonna have him be getting killed. I'm like, holy shit, that's kind of early though.
And this bathroom is pretty fucking filthy, actually. There's like pieces of toilet paper all over the floor. I never noticed that until now. Oh god, it's fucking gross. Oh my gosh. Alright, boots first. Jeans. So it could really be anyone. And then we wonder, was it really a killer or was it just someone trying to freak her out? Because look at that. You're running right past a teacher. They're there to help you. And this is, of course, brilliant that this mask isn't like like a Freddy Krueger. Like, no one could just walk around and look like Freddy Krueger, but anyone could walk around wearing that mask, and that's great. It really starts to reinforce the idea that, like, it really could be anybody. Like, that's always just subtly putting it out there that, like, oh, you don't know who it is. Like, a lot of people are thinking it's the dad, and there's good reason to suspect so. And it's not like you're watching this, you're like, you know what, I bet one of these fun characters is the killer. You don't really think that. You're just, besides Billy, of course. But it's so hammered down that it could be him that you're like, no, it's not him. So it's, because growing up, the cliche, the trope with horror films was that it was like this older man, this messed up individual, like Jason, he's actually disfigured, so there's no way to not suspect him. If there was just some random disfigured character in school, they're like, Jason, you sure you're not doing all this killing? No.
Why is Ray Romano Jason?
No. Deborah Hill. No. That is a Halloween producer.
I was just saying, there's no way you made that.
That was pretty clever on my part. I do gotta say. All right, so, and then this is great because this is what my sequel would be lacking. This nice chemistry between Courtney Cox and Deborah Arquette. Like, it really works in this one in particular because he's established as like this sort of like this dimwit loser, you know, but he's like a soft guy, and she's just cutthroat and shit. And it's weird that they're actually getting along, although you do suspect that she's trying to, you know, pump him for information, so to speak.
Sure.
It's great that it carries on. So that's one thing. Like this movie, the script. Whenever I think of this movie, I just really think of like just all these little things that keep happening that just made this movie fun for a lot of people, you know, like that relationship between Courtney Cox and David Arquette. Like that's cool to watch. I liked watching their relationship.
Rose McGowan.
And here they are. There's been.
This is a nice shot.
It is a nice shot. It's fucking.
Just kind of follows him.
Scream has always looked really like bright and sunny. To contrast.
I might not have never noticed that until this commentary. This live commentary.
I mean, that's Shaggy right there. How could you not love Shaggy as a killer? Come on. Zoinks, man. Zoinks segues to A. Now, growing up, I did not watch Happy Days, so I had no idea who this guy was, really. But, it doesn't matter.
This is like pre-Happy... No, Waterboy. It's definitely pre-Waterboy.
Yeah, it is pre-Waterboy, that's right. And thank God. I'd rather not know who he is than see the coach from Waterboy get killed. You know? Now this is all a little what's the word? I don't know. You know, just getting knocked on the door and he's like, what the fuck? And then they're gone. I'm like, Cootie
Schlock. You know,
a little schlocky maybe? Chancy, a little not Chancy.
Chauncey. I'm just gonna ignore this. That weird cameo.
Yeah, it was a little too on the nose, wasn't it? It didn't seem that bizarre and weird when I first saw it. I remember that. And now it just sticks out.
Yeah, it's like this wants to go up there, but it's like,
yeah,
it just must be weak sauce or something.
I thought this was filmed cool. Like it almost seems like it's being shown in slight slow motion a little bit. Yeah, I think it is. It's kind because the way the way he emerges, like I just thought that was a nice little touch. Wes Craven figured out a way to make this reveal look just a little bit weird, a little off. That's because it was showed slowly a little bit, just slowed down. That's a great shot. I always thought that it was kind of cartoony almost, but I like that, you know. And it's just making that mask more and more iconic with every time it appears, you know.
Who does that song?
Alice Cooper, yeah. Oh my God, more about the mom shit. Tablet.
This may or may not be my favorite shot. Coming up pretty soon.
Yeah? Nice. I mean, I like that shot just earlier. Just any view from the killer or like when the killer pops up in the woods and leaves, it's very like Signs. The alien pops up and then leaves. Yeah. Or should I say Signs is very much this. Here we go. This shot, right? Is it this one coming up? Where Tatum leaves camera?
Oh my God.
It's amazing. It's just like, yeah, it's a zoom. It's great.
Whoa.
All right, so this is, say what you will about the movie, but this was like a standout scene always in my mind. Because like not only is this character awesome, but he's doing something that I always wanted to do, was work at a video store. Never did. Probably never will. And then, of course, at the time, he's talking about a party. I'm like, I've never gone to a party before. You know, like it was a very exciting to see.
Did I just say the mom from E.T.?
Yeah.
Did I make that poll right?
The mom from E.T. Yeah. And I like the fact that we could rely on two characters that we haven't spent too much time with. It's mostly been with Sydney and Tatum. That we could have two characters just interact and have this great scene. They weren't necessarily there every single time. You know?
Is that Clerks right there? You see that? Right there. Is that Clerks?
Oh, yeah.
It is fucking Clerks.
That was awesome.
Is it? No.
Yeah, it is. And then the scene is also character building, showing that Randy actually likes Sydney. We didn't know that until this scene. And it's done in the middle of a scene that's not even about that, you know? It's just more character building, you know? And then again, another, like, red herring about the dad. Him breaking it down. And now we think the big speech is at the house, which it is. But this other speech here is great as well. That's fucking awesome.
He almost wants people to know that Stu could possibly be the killer. It's like, dude.
And I believe this is the very first. This is the only scene where none of the female characters are present. It's all like the dudes.
Is the writer Kevin Williamson kind of making fun of like 90s youth? Like, this is how they talk. What if you ever lost your reality button?
I mean, I don't know. It didn't. I was a little too young. Like, I wasn't a teenager yet at this point. So to me, I'm like, you know, whatever these older kids are saying, I assume it's cool, you know? So I didn't really look into it too
Way
much.
older.
Yeah.
God damn it.
This guy shot a little baby. See, Scream 2 never had a shot a little baby. There's so much shit about this that makes this more accessible, more like small business. Like, there's something that they lost in Scream 2. It just felt like it was mostly about the clever writing. But the clever writing this time in the Scream 2 wasn't like putting all these elements that makes you want to like, that's enjoyable for everyone. It was more darker, more cynical. You know, it was mostly about the business of media and shit like that. You know, it just it's good. You know, but it just wasn't for everyone. Scream 2. You know. Clever,
Yeah,
like, I mean, just fun shit.
You just kind of illuminated like Gail Weathers' character. She represents the media.
Oh
yeah. Oh yeah. What song is that? No dark sarcasm in the classroom. Is that Alice Cooper as well?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know this. Now this is a crazy part. Well, it's not crazy. But all these scenes, though, again, quality shit. Sexually anorexic. A lot of people were like, they didn't like.
Isn't she like cynically like she's ready for death? She's like, you can live without the endorphin rush. God damn it.
You know, good scene with this guy. No need to bring him back either. That's the thing. And just like, again, like with, we're able to branch off from the two female, I want to call Tatum a lead a little bit, but we have this conversation.
Is that what you just said?
Female leads?
It's kind of ice cream. It's awesome. It's like a tip off to just like really how you're supposed to watch this movie. It's got an ice cream. I mean, they say like Scary Movie is like, some critics say like it's unnecessary because this in itself is a fucking parody.
Right. Very, very correct. But the thing is, Scream was so iconic that you just had to attack it. Like, there's so many things in this movie, like this, the extra element of them being, there's a little bit of they're being pursued themselves, but by the news and shit like that.
What the fuck's the plot point to the third act? Did I miss it? What was it?
It's been established that they are going to this party.
Right.
It is absolutely bizarre that Dewey not only approves but drives them. Like, he's supposed to be reinforcing the curfew.
Nobody knows the principal's dead yet, so
Yeah.
it's not that.
Right. It's true. And we only had 2 deaths. Casey and Steven.
What? Well, she was attacked, so that's...
Right. That's true.
They want to finish what they started.
Oh my God, beer bong. I remember seeing that. I was like, wow, the beer bong. That looks hard.
Oh, it's hard.
It's not clear the location, like the dimensions of this property, because you would just think that you would spot the van right away. Like, this is Dewey did it, But it's saved again with the clever, like, you know what? He's into her. She could be suspicious, like, oh my God, that's the killer. He's gonna lure me away or whatever. But it all works. Everything. There's so many things going on at once where you could kind of like, okay, suspension of disbelief a little bit, and you justify it. You're like, well, Dewey does like Courtney Cox. It's been established, And really, this is their only second scene together right here. They established that first time, and now this is only their second scene together. So it's a great way to get past the weird idea that there's stalking the place. What was it? The Evil Dead or Hellraiser? That was the 2 options. I would go with Evil Dead personally.
Don't they watch Halloween though? I feel like it was Halloween and Evil
Was
Dead.
it?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
Rewind
God
it. I honestly think. But now that you said, did I hear Hellraiser? I'm
it's Evil Dead and Hellraiser, I believe, because even though they show Halloween, I believe it's those 2 options. Now I remember when I watched this when I watched this movie, we watched it with our cousin Luella, and she already watched this movie. So when Stu just randomly says, "Hey, can you go get some beer?" Then Luella was like, "Did you notice how he asked her to go get a beer?" I'm like, "Oh, come on, too obvious, too obvious." Like, she was just telling us, like, "Oh," and that kind of ruined it for me a little bit. But I wasn't. There was so much other shit to get wrapped up about. I was, I kind of like ignored that a little as I could. But yeah, that really did suck. I guess so. Oh my God, Tam disproves. Now we gotta say goodbye to these precious puppies.
There's the doggy door.
Now again, this kind of goes into what was it? I think it was the commentary with Wes Craven and that they were like, we wanted to establish technology as being bad or as like being something that could kill you, and sure enough, she dies by the garage door. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting because technology kind of fucks over the cameraman with that 5 to 10 second delay, and they stalk their victims through cell phones and other technology,
Yeah.
So I thought
90s,
that was pretty sweet.
Right, 90s.
Yeah, the 90s scare, or We're just be cautious.
I like the fucking 90s. I mean, 80s excess. I've heard that before, and I know exactly what that is. No, but like, yeah, 90s technology. You know, like at one point you're so used to those flip phones. Now it's a fucking smartphone. You know, that's the change. That's what dates certain movies.
Oh my god. Again, Randy.
In terms of creative kills, creative setups to kills. I want to play Psycho Killer.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. I like the fact that the killer was able to interact with her for so long, being in such close proximity, you know? Because you can't, no one really did that with Michael, Jason, Freddy, you know? Like the fact that he can be anyone lets characters treat him like he could be anyone. Like that was so great about Scream 2 when he sat down next to her. Just like, it was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about the killers being like clumsy and shit? You know, Misa clumsy when they like fall over shit. It looks like they could easily be beaten. You know, like she threw a refrigerator door at him and it knocked him on his ass. How do you feel about that?
Maybe you could look at it like in a horrible way, where like they're so like blood drunk. They're so stabby that they're not even paying attention to that kind of shit. You can look at it like that.
Yeah, very true. I just I also believed like it kind of over the top. Like they shouldn't have made him that clumsy.
Yoink.
They shouldn't have made him that clumsy, but it does drive home the fact that these aren't these super beings. You know, like Jason. Like he's basically this killer zombie. You know.
Yeah.
That it can be just someone in a mask. Maybe they can't see very well. I don't know. I just felt like it didn't. Like, I know some people, cynicism, people who didn't want to like the movie, they're like, oh, what the fuck is up with this? But I'm like, it's not terrible. It's kind of reinforces the fact that it's grounded in some sort of reality. It's awkward. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like the worst part of like seeing a ghost is that it scares you to death. You're like, ah. But like, yeah, it's grounded in reality.
All right, now it's time for you to fill in the plot holes.
It's not gonna happen. It'll just be dialogue from the movie. 30 seconds. I think that was the cameraman's only character only character moment. Whoa. Another thing is like the music, like the atmospheric music.
Oh yeah, Mark Beltrami or whatever his name is.
Mark Beltrami.
Mark Beltrami.
It sounds like a fucking robot trying to make up a name. Mark Beltrami.
Malfunction. So this was. I actually think this scene's really good because.
I guess the writing's pretty. I want to say spot on.
The fact that
the first thing that came to mind was spot on.
Because she's having a real this is a real she's finally acknowledging, talking about the possibility that her mother might have been someone different, and again going with character, driving character. Billy is able to relate it through a movie, and that's a huge tip off that he could be the killer. You know? Because
oh yeah.
See, to have Billy and Stu, that mindset that they are detached from reality.
Is that the Billy moment?
It could have been it's. You were asking me about the movie to go back to these scenes that made it work, but I couldn't, just like a Rolodex, this scene.
Yeah.
I couldn't think like that.
I think that's the Billy moment.
Yeah. And it's fucked up because me personally, I was a movie nutcase for the longest time. So when the killers are obsessed with movies, and they're so they want to honor all the tropes and shit. It's great. It's makes them weirdly identifiable.
That's imitatable. I gotta go bathroom.
Imitatable.
Those toppers are delicious. Brought to you by Toppers.
Oh my gosh. And I do remember watching this, and again, very, very young. Yeah. I was like, oh, a sex scene. Cover your eyes, look away, and shit. I remember I told my cousin that. I was like, hey, I don't want them watching this. But she's like, they don't even show anything. And they really don't. Tasteful. Perhaps subverting our expectations. This scene I like a lot. I mean, it's all leading up to the great speech. But the fact that they're watching scary movies at a party, you're not supposed to drink. And me, obviously I wasn't told. I was told I couldn't drink. But I was also told I can't watch scary movies. So they're doing things where I'm like, is this what older teenagers do for fun? This is the ultimate, thing to do? So, yeah, I was completely wrapped up in this movie at this point. Classic shit. They put it in the trailer, rightfully so.
Just the song with pants make a noise. Is that Halloween? Oh my god, it is. Yeah. Ugh. I think it's 30-second delay.
Right, and sure, and then to throw, it has to be 30 seconds. But to throw that amazing scene back again, and these people could not care less, was a great bait and switch or whatever you want to call it.
I see what you're
dichotomy,
saying.
it was great. It was great. It was I love that speech, but I'm sure people who are like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean movies? There's rules? What? Because there's casual movie fans as well, They're like, yeah, we went to this theater.
They're so desensitized, though, because they're in the media. They're just like,
That's true.
But yeah, that's pretty cool to undercut, That's what they're into, and then it just cuts to them, and that just kind of deflates what was happening in that room.
And we're not above dismissing Dewey as a possible killer, but really he seems harmless. It's really just I didn't even consider that. I just thought that I was like, oh man, she's kind of hot, and she seems to be going for this dork. Let's see what happens.
You'd have to make like the fucking gun violence in the recap. Well, oh yeah, that's right. I guess on Stab 1, you'd have to make the violence like kind of fucking foreshadowing the fucking assault rifle, the one kill, because right the end of this movie they just have guns, right, and then no one survives from that, right?
Yeah, none
Gail,
of the yeah,
Sydney or Dewey don't survive.
Gail, I would imagine. I mean, wouldn't she have died in that van crash where she's like she looked at?
Oh, that's how she would die. Yeah. Oh my!
And of course,
don't
Randy.
you see those on? Don't you see those? That fucking threesome movie.
Oh, Wild Things.
Oh yeah, Wild Things. I feel like you see them. You get a glimpse.
I love this marriage of the classic Halloween music while Randy hears awful news, terrifying news. And again, something terrible had happened to the principal, but they're like, holy shit, we gotta go and just check it out before they cut him down. It's fucked up. And it's also a brilliant way to get all the characters along. Thank you very much, Kevin Williams.
It kind of captures youth, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, Clerks again. Look at that. Might make sense. I think Miramax. Yeah, Miramax. Weinstein. Oh my god.
Weinstein. you're so enthusiastic in fucking being able to recall that. You know, Weinstein.
Kevin Molto. You ever listen to Kevin do his Harvey Weinstein?
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, this is how it goes.
Yeah. Little do they know. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you'd have to. That's an interesting take to make. Alright, I'm just gonna say it just to say it, but like, so the ending, they have guns. Obviously, they kill the three main protagonists.
Mm.
And then they just decide to switch to guns. Isn't that creepy? You know what? We've been doing it wrong this whole time. So like, the end of Billions to go to production hell is them shooting each other.
Oh no! I don't want to touch that ever. Like, recreating that, like the fact that Debbie Salt shoots Mickey. I was like, no, you've done that in the first film where they turn on each other, you know? And then same with Scream 4 where she stabs him, you know? Like, I wouldn't want to even go there, you know? Like, they're not going to try and kill each other. If anything, I did have the idea that maybe they die in front of each other, but it's not from their hands, you know?
Imagine like a fucking scene. It's Marco Beltrami music, you know, like when they're struggling. Like dun 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 dun, you know, like that. But like, he's got like a gun, is like an assault rifle. But like, you know, there's like some obstruction. Like the person's just like, oh, I gotta get back here, not trying not to get shot. But that music's playing. I can kind of envision that. It's like weird though. But, yeah.
So no. We're gonna have two huge suspicions. First, the dad is the killer, and now we're gonna have the resurgence of like, is Billy the fucking?
The resurgent. Oh yeah, they really. Yeah. Like traditionally, I guess you would. God. But the obvious plot is that the dad might be the killer. Yeah, it's been set up, you know.
Yeah, it's always on the back burner in people's minds.
Because her mom did die. I mean,
yeah.
I immediately think the husband's guilty. I don't know what I'm saying.
And you know, the other thing that makes Scream better overall, just with acting, it really helped that the actors that turned out to be the killers knew ahead of time. So they could play these certain angles. They could, you know, Like they got to think, like that's a huge part of their character, the fact that they're killers. So fucking what's his name? Timothy Oliphant didn't know he was the killer or not. You know, Jerry O'Connell, actually he was originally in the leaked script. It was him and the actress that played the roommate, Hallie.
That's
and
fucked up.
and just to think they had Debbie Salt, just some random nuisance. It really was the killer. You know.
Oh, you said they would just see each other. They wouldn't kill each other. They'd see one of them each other die or some shit like that.
Yeah, I pictured kind of like Where the Gun, where they're both about to die.
I was just gonna say, like, wouldn't the police eventually show up? The SWAT team, you know.
Oh yeah.
That's why I was like, ugh.
I mean, that's really like a broad idea of the assault rifle. You know, like I want to explore more parts of it, but just overall, like to work with that idea as the ending is pretty sweet. I like that. It's a whole big chunk of clay or marble, whatever it is.
Marble. A surfboard. That's early '90s. It's really subtle though. Subtle.
Stu's surfboard, man. That's got to be established in the next one.
He could be the Green Goblin. He knows how to surf.
Oh shit.
Oh fuck. Marry this with the MCU, Spider-Man universe. Just shows them masking up as hobgoblins in the beginning. That's fucking awesome. I want to write that. Fuck production hell. Oh my god.
How much is that mannequin in the window? Look like a mannequin, man. Oh, shit, Superman moment, of course.
Doritos, I don't think we've ever noticed that.
Product placement. So weird, because I didn't even watch Halloween when I watched this movie, so all those shots, I was like, oh my god, what is this? What is going on?
I was talking to Sam. It's like, I don't know, we were talking about some weird YouTube channel, but he was talking about like, he doesn't really buy into the whole religious stuff, and I'm like, religious stuff? Like a couple hours later, I'm like, oh, he meant like metaphysical. Thought that was pretty awesome. 30-second delay. Oh my god. I don't know. Kenny, what's his name? Kenny's death. Kenny, right? Is that his name?
Yeah.
His death just kind of like made me think of that for some reason. It's just like they're, you know, they're so in their own world of media, you know.
I still really like this.
Halloween.
The noise is permeating throughout the house and creating an atmosphere. It's great. Like it's free, amazing music.
But yeah, but That and look at this. This is Dewey's moment. But I've never really put that together. The soundtrack in the background.
There's just a lot of stuff going on in this movie. It's great. Lots of shit for lots of characters. All right, so what's going on here? Oh, this was kind of clever. This was sort of an homage to Halloween again with the windshield, her seeing it like all fogged up or whatever. That was a great scene, but it's a little bit of a twist here. It's covered in blood.
It's a cool effect. Mm-hmm.
It just made, like, this movie was just way more gorier, way more, like, kind of disturbing than the other movies were.
I mean, this is pre-Evil Dead, easily, right? Like, Army of Darkness was like 97 or 98. It had to have been, right?
I have no idea, actually. Holy shit, really?
I think so, because...
I thought Army of Darkness was before this. Alright, so this is when she really actually dies. And everything else is just a dream. It's very Jacob's Ladder. It's that last synapse firing. She dreams that she survives. Writes a book even,
Writes a book even. So the dad has to die. Dewey's already dying. The dad has to die. The final what? Victim? No. Final girl, right?
Yeah. Final girl.
She's got to die, and then that's it. Just the dad, right? The dad and her have to die.
Yeah.
Because Dewey, I feel like is
Randy.
God, yeah. That's what I was trying to get to. But is that where Dewey dies for real? Or are you going to kill him off differently?
That's where he dies for real. I mean, unless he's barely hanging on and he's crawling towards Billy and wanting to strangle him or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's basically how he dies.
If you're killing off Courtney Cox, then maybe Dewey is the Courtney Cox role. It's like he's got the gun.
Yeah, the cop you thought was a dumb shit comes too.
That's actually in the script. Interior. The cop you thought was dumb as shit.
Comes too. Sounds upon you too. Like, so you're not only are you acknowledging that you're dumb shit, but he looks sorry. I've lost a lot of plot.
Yeah, the guy narrate this whole time.
That's awesome.
The cop you thought was dumb shit.
Oh, okay. So this was a crazy part in the movie where Randy runs up, and then Stu runs up after him, and you're like, "Where the fuck were you the whole time?" Like, it's kind of freaky. It really freaked me out. I remember seeing that because I'm like, I really like Stu in this movie, and I was like, "Is he the fucking killer?" And I really didn't like that because I was like, I actually think I might even like him more than Randy. You know, it was really a crazy part.
There's no way they did this originally, right? They have to be shirking somebody. Some movie, some book, right?
Of two killers? Is that what you're saying?
Just the paranoia. Like, it could be anybody.
Well, I mean, like I said, Prom Night. Wasn't Prom Night considered
one
of the...
I've never seen it. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think it's been referenced. There's been other movies where it's like, oh, guess who the killer is? But this was done well. It was done well. And this movie has so many things going for it. Like, I don't even get to the whodunit sometimes. You know, sometimes it's not even the best part. There's so much shit that's great in this movie.
Prom night commentary. Coming up next.
Man, Jamie Lee Curtis.
What?
All right, so he comes back. I remember at this point, I thought it was Stu, and I was like, oh, Billy, he was a good guy all along. And then the twists keep on coming. It's great. It's kind of a mind fuck.
I feel like that was funny to us for some reason. Ow. I'm just like, did this movie earn its payoff?
That was
It's
also
like meta. It's meta payoff. Did it earn it? Like, is it worth just like, oh, the killers?
again. I thought this was brilliant. I know some people were like, well, how could it make it sound the same fucking voice or whatever? But I'm like, it honestly sounds like it could be done. You know?
Yeah.
I just thought it was clever. Like the fact that Kevin Williamson fucking said, I just fucking hammered it out in like 3 days or whatever. I was like, I need to try and do that.
What's the fucking connection between like his writing on Dawson's Creek, right?
Yeah.
You've seen that?
Yeah.
I have not seen that. What's the comparison? I don't really know Kevin Williamson outside of Scream.
He's able to write nice characters
or
and
cursed.
interactions. Yeah, or like relationships and stuff. Like he can build, what he does well, like he creates full fleshed out characters, you know, and that's what he did with Dawson's Creek. And it was Dawson, the main character, actually wants to be a filmmaker, so there's a lot of things where like he's just trying to get his friends in his movie and like stuff like that. Like there's a lot of that stuff.
I had no idea.
Yeah, neither did I until I watched it, you know.
Katie Holmes.
Yes.
She might have been like the it girl for me at one point. Like the ultimate.
Oh shit.
You're no Neve Campbell. I hate this fucking fan.
You do?
No.
Oh.
No, it's great. It's a great fan.
So this is interesting because when he says this, it looks like Stu never even knew about this. Like they were just killing for fun, you know? That's the fucked up part.
That's interesting. Wow.
See, like it's just like it's like what? I thought we were just killing to be fucking assholes. You know?
Well, maybe he's like in awe of like the mindfuck, you know. He's putting on Sydney. I keep saying Cindy. It's like it's the scary movie.
Yeah, fair. See, like this, I mean, it could have ended with them succeeding, and it would have been truly terrifying. You know, like
Like Seven?
There's so many times this movie could have ended, but this movie keeps on ratcheting up shit. It's great. This, like, the ending of this is really awesome. And that's what I'm getting at as well. Like the idea to have these characters go onto a different adventure is great because this part of the movie, as soon as it's revealed who the killers are, is very exciting. There's a lot of shit. It's this weird second movie.
How about that? Someone should go back and redub all their dialogue as the guy who does the ghost face.
Oh my god.
The ghost face voice.
Okay, so this is what happens in Stab 1. Kills her, then he shoots himself in the head. And he looks at Billy and Stu, and they look like they're dead, yeah. They were left for dead.
Oh, the father.
Yeah.
He's not coming back for the sequel. That's weird how they think that it would work.
I remember when this was happening. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this. Not only is this like, what would the children do if they were trying to do this? You actually see children trying to replicate what they see in the movies and having to deal with that real consequence of like, holy shit, like this is fucking terrible what we're doing to each other, you know? That's included in the movie. The paranoia of what the parents envision, like kids trying to copy them. Mm-hmm. You see that in this actual movie with the killers doing it to each other. It's fucking crazy.
Holy fuck! I feel like the edit made it. They cut out this movement.
Yeah, the version that we owned, I think it panned down to show like just a pile of blood underneath Stu.
What?
Or puddle, I mean. Pile. It's congealed.
It's congealed.
So, okay, yeah. Right when you think this movie's done, then another thing. And it changes. It's all about their obstacles now. Like, that's why this movie just seems like it's their movie, you know? The dumb shit Left for Dead comes to.
That's gotta be in the script.
Oh yeah, that's fucking amazing. Okay, so
just out of nowhere. The dumb shit.
Oh, this is great too. I mean, again, like I referenced how like how Skeet didn't get as much work as I thought he should or whatever.
Mm.
Look at this thing. Cracks his neck because of like with all the tension and shit. Like that's just brilliant acting choices to create everything more and more real. He just did it too good. Benicio del Toro didn't get work for a long time after he did Gonzo in Fear and Loathing because he did it too good. You know, I feel like that's what Skeet did with this role. He's so good in it. He's so fucked up. You know. Yeah. Matthew Lillard did get a lot of work, but that's because he was playing the same, like the energy, the performance, how naturally funny he is, really lent him to a lot of different roles, you know. Because even when it's revealed that he's a killer, Stu is actually still really funny, you know.
Mm-hmm. When would Stab start?
When would it start?
When would Stab 1 start on fucking go to production hell?
The same way he did before with Casey's death and shit.
I thought you said it was going to be in the fucking third act of the movie.
Oh, I mean, they would eventually show this scene. Yeah, it would start. That's a good question.
So much to choose from.
I mean, it wouldn't show any of this, obviously.
Right? It's going to be at the end.
Yeah, it would have to be...
It's that fucking pull-out. You know, like, I feel like every movie ends with, this, helicopter shot pulling out from the set. Or not the set, the location.
Sure, shooting location, whatever.
Shooting location. Yeah, like the feathers on them kind of like imply like this chaosness, this chaos that's happened, you know. Oh my god! Yeah, there you go with the colors again. I may not have processed the colors.
Yeah, this is a lot about this movie was just like right time, right people working together. You know, like a lot of stuff really came together to make this movie awesome.
Even the fucking changing your voice, like the third act reveal of who the killers are, that there even is, it'll be revealed that there was even a mystery. But anyway, that's still technology, that changing your voice.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. There's definitely a heavy technology angle on it.
Does Billy get back at Stu when he's like, hey, I heard you say I always had a thing for you, Sid. He holds it over him.
Yeah, he's like, hey.
I always thought this was one of the coolest deaths of all time. But apparently it's very similar to A Nightmare on Elm Street 4 or 3 or something like that. Where a girl gets her head smashed into a TV.
Stabbed by an umbrella. Horrible way to go.
I probably should be. I never thought I'd be so happy to be a virgin.
You ever see those like YouTube audience reactions?
Yeah.
I'd love to see like the reactions to this.
Oh my god.
What the? He totally swiped.
I just love this shot. It just stays on him for so long. It's just, I just love it's not looking away. It's like these children are killing each other. It's fucking great.
Huh.
And by great, I mean horrible, but they got the message across. I wonder, like, in my idea of, like, where they kind of regretted killing Randy. I mean, what if they didn't kill Randy? But then that would just be a huge, like, how could they ever keep the secret from him, that it was them? How would he not know? So, he just has to.
This is where your movie starts. That line. Only that's not how it proceeds.
Get
so
a lot
in
of,
closing, are you going to talk through the credits?
yeah. Wait for that credit scene, ending credit scene.
Prom night coming soon. That's all I have to say. Those are my plugs.
All I know is that Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. That's it. I wonder what kind of mask that killer has, or maybe they just don't show him. Because didn't they just not show what the killer looked like in Friday the 13th Part 1?
Yeah, it was like a POV. I dug it. I dug those movies.
Dog loves movies.
Bottle? No. Time capsule. That's the word I was looking for.
Time capsule. Well, that was it. Fucking. Even though I'm trying to rewrite it in my mind how to continue it on, like, this movie was great.
The weird 90s sitcom ending.
And of course, this always made it fun. But it was almost like, I think they had to show that it was obviously just a movie, again, because of how real and blunt it seemed at the time.
At the time, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And I think bringing that real terror into production hell with the assault rifle is just that element that the other movies kind of lacked a little bit, Like, fucking Scream 3, I like it, but it's very, like, it leaves reality a lot farther away. It is in Hollywood, so you're always questioning, like, what is real and shit like that. But I feel like Scream, they really try to make it gritty in a way, and that's just not really. I mean, let's see here. Scream 2, they had that car sequence that was really good in terms of, like, trying to portray something as real and whatever. Even though that's, like, a lot of stuff.
It's like hyper real.
Yeah. But yeah, here we go with I always thought that these were, like, one of the coolest things of all time.
players.
That's what you want. You want 2 seconds of movement and then freeze. That's the only way to do it. And it was great to just oh my god, I forgot. She was hot. She died. You know.
You ever see the trailer, The Irishman, by Martin Scorsese for Netflix?
Last night.
Oh, was it only last night? Would you de-age fucking Skeet Ulrich and fucking
Matthew.
Matthew what?
Lillard.
Oh, Lesko. Would you de-age him for your movie?
Well, originally I guess, I mean, I wonder how much that costs. Let's talk about cost first. Because really, I don't think you could just recast those characters and try and, I think a lot of it is performance, especially Matthew Lillard. He has a very distinct performance that he gives in his movies. And with Skeet Ulrich, he was able to play did he do it? Did he not? He played all these parts. The sensitive, again going back to with right before they slept together, where she's pouring her heart out, finally, acknowledging, and he's able to relate to it through a movie like that. That. And she kind of says no, you're not getting it. This is real life. And it's it's just one big movie. Yeah. That's how he sold it was great. I say bring him back. So if I could digitally de-age, I would. But my original idea was to have them in their rightful age, middle age. I think they're all late 40s, mid 40s, something like that. And you know what? They need work.
Yeah.
Matthew Lillard, he's has the most steadiest work.
Didn't he do a sequel to CLC Punk or some shit?
What?
Yeah, I feel like there's a sequel.
That movie was great. I always thought that was one of his best performances was in SLC Punk. He was awesome.
Never seen it, but I think you've talked about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And he has, he plays it a certain way, and then he's got this great dramatic.
I'm pretty sure he does. I'm pretty sure he's in that movie.
Punk's dead. SOC Punk too. Yeah, if he's in that, that'd be crazy.
Pretty
or maybe
positive.
maybe he's just handing off the baton to the next character. But
yeah, I think
it's
you're right. He's barely in it.
But no, that's fine because you know what? A true fan would tell you that he actually is a poser. He sells out at the end. He doesn't become a punk anymore. He becomes a lawyer. It's awesome.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah, it was the one thing that he always criticized other punks for. Don't be a poser. A lot of these guys, they just want to look like a punk. They don't actually want to do what a punk must do in these certain social situations, whatever. But yeah, it was great. But I don't know. This movie's done.
What's the top 4 things that come up on IMDb for Matthew Lillard?
Scooby-Doo, Scream. Fuck. Can I get a hint?
What?
Hint?
No.
No?
You only have 2 more guesses.
What's the one with Freddie Prinze Jr.? What was that? Sky Captain or something like that, or Jet Pilot.
He's in that movie? You might be right, yeah.
Yeah. He's been in other shit. He's been in that one with Josh Hartnett. Fuck. I don't remember names right now. Throw me on the spot. SLC Punk. We'll listen to that.
Those are 5 answers. It goes number 1, Scooby-Doo. Number 2, The Descendants, George Clooney.
Oh, I didn't know he was in there.
Scooby-Doo 2, and then Scream.
Alright, well, I pretty much covered it with Scooby-Doo. Yeah, he's great in that. Alright, well, Nick Cave and the Red Right Hand, that's who Nick Cave is? They created that song? That's crazy. Did not know that. Alright, well.
I don't think he's in SLC Punk 2.
Oh, well, that's a waste. Okay, so we're coming to the end. Great movie. Perhaps I'll cover the second one too. just to discuss like where not to go or like what to avoid. Like Scream 2 is great. It really is, and it's.
Oh, I'm kind of glad we watched Scream 3 already. We'll just write that off.
It's so well written, but it's also focused more on one thing than it was in this first one. Like the first one, I said before, had so many more things to offer everyone. In Scream 2, it's just a little bit more specific. It leans more into more satire,
Okay,
but
bye.
not as much stuff.